Chiang Kai-shek's farewell message to the Indian people on the eve of his departure from Calcutta. During my 2-week stay in India, the Generalissimo said, I had the opportunity of discussing very frankly with the highest civil and military authorities, as well as with my Indian friends, questions concerning very clear about aggression and the objectives of our common efforts. I am happy to find that there was full sympathy and general understanding between us. My mission is now drawing to a close. On the eve of my departure, I wish to bid farewell to all my friends in India. The present international situation, the Chinese leader continued to say, divides the world into two camps, aggression and anti-aggression. All those who are opposed to aggression and are striving for the freedom of their country and mankind should join the anti-aggression camp. There is no middle course, and there is no time to wait for development. Now is the crucial moment for the whole future of mankind. The present struggle is one between freedom and slavery, between light and darkness, between good and evil, between civilized existence and aggression. Should the anti-aggression front lose the war, the civilization of the world would suffer a setback for at least 100 years, and there would be no end to human suffering. The Generalissimo reports that the Indian and Chinese peoples should give their united support to the principles embodied in the Atlantic Charter and the Joint Declaration of the 26th United Nations, and ally themselves with the anti-aggression front. He assured the Indian people that the vast majority of world opinion was in full sympathy with India's aspirations for freedom, and also expressed the hope and belief that Britain, without waiting for any demand on the part of the people of India, would as speedily as possible give them real political power, so that they would be in a position further to develop their spiritual and material strength. The Generalissimo also sent a message of solicitation to Monsieur Stalin on the occasion of the 24th anniversary of the founding of the Red Army. He paid glowing tribute to the Red Army, which, he said, has shown indomitable spirit in resisting anti-aggression in Europe under the command of Monsieur Stalin. The Generalissimo expressed his confidence that the Chinese and Russian armies, from spiritual affinity to active collaboration in action, will ultimately accomplish their sacred mission in restoring world peace. Miss Eve Curie, daughter of the famous Pierre and Marie Curie, co-discoverers of radium, arrived in Chungking from Lashio by plane this morning. Miss Curie will remain in free China for some time, as correspondent for the New York Herald Tribune and reading correspondent for the Columbia Broadcasting System. You are listening to the news from Chungking. The banquet hall of Jiaoling House was the scene of a most successful dinner given by the Chinese American Institute of Cultural Relations in celebration of its 3rd anniversary on the 205th birthday of George Washington. More than 200 guests and members attended the function, which was complete with the cutting of a huge birthday cake and the singing of Old Lang Syne. The crowded banquet hall was appropriately decorated with Chinese and American flags, and the whole atmosphere was pervaded with the spirit of Sino-American cordiality. In the absence of Dr. H.H. Kung, president of the Institute, who was unable to attend due to indisposition, Mr. Chen Li-Fu, Minister of Education, presided. A message from Dr. Kung was read to the gathering. Then Mr. Chen delivered the opening address, which was followed by addresses by Ambassador Clarence Goss and Dr. Wang Shijie, Minister of Information. Mr. P.T. Chen, Secretary of the Institute, made a detailed report on its work and its program for the immediate future. The entertainment program was well planned and skillfully carried out. Among the prominent guests present were General Wu Peichen, Ambassador Clarence Goss, Dr. Wang Shijie, Dr. Arthur Young, Dr. T.S. John, Mayor T.C. Wu, Dr. P.S. Kay, the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Arthur Yu, and Mr. Y.C. Gould, Vice Ministers of Finance, members of the United States Embassy and military mission. We don't have time tonight to read all the messages given, although they were extremely interesting, and therefore we will read only Dr. Kung's message, which was sent to the meeting and read by Mr. Arthur Young. Mr. Young is advisor in the Ministry of Finance and is vice president of the Cultural Institute. China and the United States, besides Dr. King's message, are now fighting side by side for preservation of their national rights. They have in common far more than the fact of being allies. The peoples of both countries are democratic and peace-loving. They cherish no design to seize the territory of others or force their will upon them. The culture of both peoples is wholly alien to the aggression which they together are resisting. Collaboration between our two countries is daily becoming closer. China deeply appreciates the many manifestations of American aid, and now is particularly grateful for the loan of $500 million United States dollars, which will strengthen us for what lies ahead. The speed with which this aid was granted shows clearly the firm resolution of the American government and people to sustain China in every possible way. Our collaboration will lead to victory, but also it must contribute to a settlement of world and Pacific affairs that will prevent this war, like the last, from being merely the prelude to other and greater wars. Otherwise, the hope of each peace-loving nation for free national development and progress, along with other peace-loving nations, will be overwhelmed in general strife with more and more terrible weapons. We must make certain that such wars will not happen again. China and the United States, on the shores of the two continents opposite across the Pacific, with common aims, must work closely together, not only for victory, but in building for the future a picture of common security and prosperity. Our two nations, like George Washington, whose birthday we celebrate today, must be preeminent, not only in war, but also in peace. In the last analysis, close mutual understanding of peoples is the surest foundation for the future. In promoting such an understanding, said Dr. H.H. Kung, the Chinese-American Institute of Cultural Relations can and will play its part. Continuing the news from Chungking. Major General Carl Spath, commander of the United States Army Air Combat Forces, said on Saturday that the United States intends to win unquestioned aerial supremacy on all fronts, then wage devastating warfare. General Spath made this statement in a war message to the Air Forces. This message was carried from Washington to Chungking by the Central News Agency. He said the war thus far has proved conclusively that aerial power is essential to success either in offensive or defensive action. Declaration of war by the United States Congress on December 8th was a ringing warning to the world that our Army Air Forces, in cooperation with our great aircraft industry, would strive for aerial supremacy in every theater of operations, General Spath declared. Our Commander-in-Chief promised that no matter where the enemy was found, devastating warfare, particularly in the air, would be brought to him. We of the Army Air Forces are determined to attain this objective. We shall attain it. Japanese lightning stabs at our vital defenses, including Pearl Harbor, have convinced every real American that we must go into the air with sufficient strength to destroy the enemy. No offensive or defensive action in this war has been executed successfully without air superiority. The speaker then described successful operations of American planes in many places, Makassar Straits, the Philippines, and Davao, as examples of the superior quality of American planes. He hailed the exploits of the American volunteer group of the Chinese Air Force and concluded, "We have just begun. Much remains to be done. Hard work is the answer to successful aerial warfare. The entire Army Air Forces must operate as a team, smoothly and efficiently, with our minds, our hearts, and our hands." Since the general in Washington mentioned the AVG, here is the latest story from Chungking by our observer on the fighting which the Flying Tigers have been doing. Taking off from their base in Rangoon, a squadron of AVG fighters flew over the Bulin riverfront at 4 p.m. Saturday and subjected Japanese concentrations there to a horrific sweeping. Enemy casualties were reported very heavy. While machine gunning the enemy ground forces, the AVG fighters came into headlong clash with 40 Japanese pursuits. In a 10-minute ferocious dogfight which ensued, the Americans sent 5 Japanese planes quickly to destruction. All AVG planes returned safely to their base. A According to an ABC fortune in Kunming, the American volunteer pilots will remain in Rangoon and fight to the last moment. You are listening to the news from Chungking. Commenting on the 24th anniversary of the founding of the Red Army in the Soviet Union, the official Central Daily News attributes the achievements of the Soviet Army to its morale and discipline, as such is equally as important as equipment. The Soviet forces have been able to turn to naught the German dream of occupying Moscow within 3 months and to inflict crushing blows on the Nazis simply because they are a well-principled and well-disciplined army. In their resistance, they have an idea to fight for, and this firm belief in justice against bigotry and right against might has held them together and kept them from retreating. In addition, the 3 5-year plans in the USSR have done much in the way of providing military equipment. What is true with the Red Army has been true with the Chinese troops, who have been able to hold the Japanese for the past 4.5 years. In the battles of Shanghai, Shuzhou, Wuhan, and northern Hunan, the Chinese army has displayed a spirit which can never be conquered. The Chinese army cannot be defeated armed, though it may be perfectly, because it represents a solid and concrete body of the soul of China. In the world's anti-Axis war, the invincibility and inviolability of the Chinese army and the Red Army constitute a determining factor for final victory, thus declared the Central Daily News today. The War Department in Washington, according to the Central News, has released the following dispatch from General MacArthur. Filipino morale and hope remain undaunted. Civilian resistance against the Japanese invader is growing in intensity every day. The Filipinos take advantage of every opportunity to show their contempt for the Japanese aggressor. Informers mysteriously disappear. Only a few days ago, the Japanese military awoke one morning to find their proclamation posters enumerating crimes punishable by death and which were profusely displayed all over Manila, altered by a secret society. One of the first acts of the Japanese commander when Japanese forces occupied Manila City was to issue a proclamation warning the Filipinos not to harm any Japanese soldiers. This proclamation was printed on posters and displayed in all public places of the city. It was recently found that these posters were modified somewhat. Unknown persons had substituted the word Filipino for Japanese, and vice versa. So instead of the original proclamation, which read, "For every Japanese soldier killed, 10 Filipino soldiers will be shot," the altered posters read, "For every Filipino killed, 10 Japanese soldiers will be shot." And the latest news from the Bataan fighting was that the Japanese have once more been forced to relax their attack. General MacArthur is still holding strong. This concludes the news from Chungking. Station XGOY continues its program in the North American transmission with news in Cantonese. XGOY 係中國國際廣播電台，現在報告時事。各位聽眾，呢一次為國宣明，空勤獨屬以領袖之冤嚟訪問印度嘅委員長，喺印度拘留咗2個星期，唔好達成咗任務。委員長喺前日已經出離咗印度啦。當我離開印度嘅時候已經喺巴爾德薩發表咗一篇意好登場對印度國民嘅書。呢個係一篇富有歷史意義嘅報文，亦都係自由人類今後努力嘅股份。委員長講，可能喺印度拘留2週內，如果都係同政府分治行政當局仲有好多政治上考慮，就呢個抵抗侵略計劃同埋呢個努力嘅目標各種問題，當然講開今日建築嘅表現。整啲印度大民族之間充分嘅同埋徹底嘅認識，感到非常欣慰。現在本人訪問印度嘅任務已經結束咗，喺嚟自嘅時候等向印度全體嘅同胞告辭，並且願向各位悼念我所見到嘅地方。目前世界局勢早已經係劃分為侵略同埋反侵略嘅兩大陣營啦。但真係反侵略而嚟祖國同埋全人類爭取自由嘅咧，應該重新響反侵略嘅陣線嘅。今日已經係人類前程最緊要關頭啦。現在嘅奮鬥 係自由同奴隸，黑暗同光明，正義同邪惡，同時亦都係抗戰同侵略嘅鬥爭。講侵略嘅陣線啊，如果係不幸失敗咗咧，從此世界嘅文明啊就會受到挫折，人類嘅痛苦亦都就得不到結果啦。喺呢人類咁嘅多個唔同嘅關係啊，我希望中印兩大民族呢個人類嘅自由作最大嘅努力。萬一中印兩大民族得到自由咧，世界上從此就冇咗真正和平。呢個反侵略國家啊，都希望印度人民能夠喺呢個大時代鬥爭裏邊。呢個世界嘅輿論咧，亦都大多對呢個印度好自由嘅現象表示支持。呢種文化好嘅同情心啊，印度人民應該係努力去保持。可能想響個印度國民師嘅系統裏面啊，再三敦促中印嘅兩個民人一致擁護大西洋戰爭同埋16國共同宣言裏邊所包括嘅各項原則，同埋整個反侵略陣線堅強完成出嚟。共識黨嘅委員長對印度國民呢個大義，委員長響前日打電報俾戴林，